Hey, hello, everybody. This is Dr. Garrett Smith starting the Love Your Liver live stream number 147. A little late. Sorry about that. Getting some stuff dealt with at the house, and live is, it's a bitch. So, today, what do we have for you guys? Just so you know, if you ever want if you want to find more information from me, just go down in the text. There's all the links below. There's the companies I like. And if you want to get affiliate stuff from them, that's all there. But so we're going to go over some testimonials first. Then we're going to go over a couple products made by a big friend of the Love Your Liver program, Kelsey, in her store that I personally used and that I just wanted to say some good things about. And you'll get to see her reviews there they're also very, very good. So let's head into that. So first, the testimonial. So here we go. Okay. Now, one of the things that I have come to realize that vitamin A toxicity causes, and if you're new here and you're not familiar with vitamin A toxicity, probably a lot of your health issues are related to vitamin A toxicity, and you just don't know it yet, or you've been fed the line that vitamin A is only good for you if it's from food, and or you need supplements, or you need to put it on your face, and you need to do all these things with it. It's not good for you. I did a search on PubMed, the library of study abstracts, and there was 36 studies that mentioned isotretinoin, or also known as Accutane, but known as 13-cis-retinoic acid, which is one of the retinoic acids that your body turns synthetic vitamin A into, and it turns natural animal vitamin A into eventually. Your body turns the vitamin A that you eat, whether it's supplement, synthetic, liver, beta carotene from plants and fruits and vegetables, it turns it all, some of it, into 13-cis-retinoic acid. So there were 13 studies talking about 13-cis-retinoic acid, which they call isotretinoin when it's a pharma cartel product, and sacroiliitis. Those of you who have been to chiropractors before, and maybe you have lower back pain, may be very, very familiar with the sacroiliac joint. It's where, your spine basically interacts with your pelvis. Sacroiliitis, sacrum, ilium is talking about your pelvis. So this is the joint where your spine interacts with your pelvis. And itis is inflammation. So inflammation of that area. We now consider sacroiliitis, chronic sacroiliitis, potentially chronic low back pain. You may not have had it diagnosed as that, as a classic symptom of vitamin A toxicity. And we have 2 testimonials to go over today. So let's head into them. This first one, big fan of the program. You may see him in the chat as Zendog. Here we go. Quoting, I had sacroiliitis off and on for 4 decades. Right? That's 40 years, right? Survived okay in a number of jobs. Sitting was the worst. Always attributed it to sciatica, tight muscles, piriformis, weak glutes. Like everybody gave him all the diagnoses, right? It's from here. It's from here. It's from here. If you just stretch this, if you just strengthen this, but never diet. Survived okay with occasional major issues of a few weeks until November 2022. That was horrific. Lasted 4 months, 23 days. From 4/15/2023 to date. So this is a year ago, basically, 13 months. From 4/15/2023 to date, this is sacroiliac joint clear, as in his sacroiliitis is gone. Other issues still come up, but sacroiliac joint is quickly becoming one of my strongest joints. So when he's saying other issues come up, Zendog is not a like spring chicken. He's had sacroiliitis off and on for 4 decades. So it's a heck of a thing to fix musculoskeletal problems in people. At the older you are, the longer it takes to fix these things. So this is a really big thing. Like I'm saying, vitamin A toxicity is now considered by us to be a classic symptom. Sacroiliitis is a classic symptom of vitamin A toxicity. And let's see again. Let's go and do another one. So here's the second testimonial for today. Had sacroiliitis off and on since my teens due to a work injury. It's actually the reason I started following Dr. Smith about 10 years ago. It was constant. Couldn't hardly stand up straight after sitting for any length of time, and found a post of Dr. Smith about vitamin D and arthritis. Yeah, if you're taking rat poison vitamin D3 supplements or cod liver oil, or you're trying to eat more vitamin D and you got joint pain and arthritis and calcium deposits everywhere and you feel tight and stiff, stop taking the rat poison. Okay. Here we go. Stop my heavy vitamin D dosing. Eventually went off nightshades. That took a bit more convincing. The constant pain and inflammation went away quickly, but flare-ups would happen if I ate any nightshades. We'll talk about that. It's gotten better and better slowly over the years, about one flare-up a year, usually around the holidays when I just abandon all dietary restrictions. I can tolerate small amounts of nightshades now, once a week or so, without problems. Potassium seems to really help. Who talks about that? That and a few exercises can usually prevent a bad flare-up that used to send me to bed for a week or more. Also been doing a glute-focused functional exercise program called PVolve. I'm assuming that's spelled right. If you guys want to look it up, you can. And that seems to have really helped also. I plan to try Rome's shaking method he recently posted next time I have a flare-up and see how that goes. So Rome's his nervous system reset, I think it's called. I don't remember the exact name, and I'm not going to look it up right now, but I think it's nervous system reset is linked in the information below if you want to go check that out. But Rome did, I think she's referring to the shaking video that he did on his Instagram. Anyway, so let's go back into this real quick. Vitamin D3. It's rat poison. It's not good for you. Don't take it. It will calcify you shut. Like, you're going to turn into a living statue. Stop taking it. Don't think that vitamin K2 is going to fix you from it or save you from the damage. It may slow it, but you're still going to have a problem. And this is what we've seen over and over. We have all sorts of people. I mean, I have all sorts of people coming to me taking a vitamin D3 and K2 supplement, and they feel bad. And I get them off the vitamin D3 part of it. Maybe they keep the K2, maybe they don't, and they start getting better. Stop believing the urban legend that K2 prevents vitamin D3 problems. Stop. Just stop. Just give it up. It doesn't work. I've shown research that it doesn't work, and I see in real people that it doesn't work. Okay. And then she stopped nightshades. Now, one thing a lot of people don't know about nightshades, first of all, spicy peppers. This was shown by David Hagerston. One of the molecules in spicy peppers is actually 2 retinoic acids. Remember, we were just talking about sacroiliitis? One of the capsaicinoids, one of the things that makes spicy peppers spicy, is actually 2 retinoids bound with a little bridge. So imagine, let's say that just comes into your body, and your body has the ability to just chop that in 2. And now you have 2 retinoic acids floating around your system. Do you think that would flare up sacroiliitis? Probably. The other thing is that peppers or capsicum are very, very high in vitamin A. What are the other ones? What am I thinking of? Oh, tomatoes are obviously very, very high in vitamin A. They also have, the thing you need to know about nightshades is they also have active vitamin D in them, calcitriol, which is the strongest calcifying form of vitamin D. So you're taking with most nightshades, you're taking extra vitamin A, you're taking extra vitamin D, you're taking retinoic acid if you're eating spicy foods. Potatoes are a little different, but still, potatoes tend to have nightshade problems over time. If you consume them very regularly, and all of a sudden, you're like, Dr. Smith, why do I feel bad? I've been eating potatoes for like 6 months straight. I don't understand why. They didn't cause me any problems until now. That's what I'm telling you. They are the sneakiest. Just don't eat eggplant. They used to call it the crazy apple, the mad apple or something like that. Don't eat eggplants. They used to say, it was a thing in Italy. They said if you ate eggplant every day for a month, it would drive you insane. Like, why would they make that up? I mean, eggplant's kind of nasty in my opinion, but it's kind of like the tofu of vegetables. But anyway, that's a whole nother thing. So she stopped her vitamin D. She stopped taking vitamin A and vitamin D in plant foods from nightshades. So it went away, but if she ate them, it would flare up. This makes sense. It's gotten better and better over the years because we are having to decalcify her. The calcifications don't just go away. It takes time to break that down. Just like if you put vinegar on your shower head and you want to dissolve the calcium, it doesn't just go away. You got to let it sit there for a while. Well, the human body takes longer to get rid of that calcification. Okay. And then it's gotten better and better until she has one flare up a year around the holidays. Okay. Well, at least she knows. Like, folks, some people think that this is like some strict dietary cult. Those are people who are just so small-minded and ignorant that they can't see what I actually say. Like, am I going to sit here and get mad at this person for cheating around the holidays? No, not at all. She has paid attention to know what it does to her. Then she gets into, is the juice worth the squeeze, is what we say. So if she says, well, Dr. Smith, I'm just going to do it. I got family coming over. I eat these things like once a year and I like them and I'm just going to take the hit. Okay, fine. Like, I'm here to teach everybody what causes you your health problems, whether you choose to do it or not. It's like alcohol. Like, who doesn't know that drinking alcohol is bad for you? I mean, it's like the devil's water, right? But people still choose to do it. Okay, there's going to be consequences. Don't ignore that. Don't deny that. There's going to be consequences. If you choose to do it, you choose to do it. Totally up to you. So, this is one thing that we see in the program, okay? She says, I can tolerate small amounts of nightshades now once a week or so without problems. This means that we are getting her less and less toxic so that when she does choose to eat these things, she can tolerate them to a point. Okay, she's saying when the holidays come and she eats it repeatedly, she gets problems. But if she stays at small amounts once a week, she doesn't seem to have any problems. And this is exactly what I've seen. So what we do here is we get people better so that they can then tolerate more stuff than they used to. However, that doesn't mean that they're now more sensitive. They're not more sensitive. They're more in tune with their body. And then they get to notice that it affects them. And then they get to choose what to do. Like, right? Is this not the most empowering thing I can do? I can say, this is not good for you. You choose to do it. If you choose to do it, you pay the consequences. And if you want to stay better, then don't eat it. It's like totally up to you. I don't care what you do. I'm just here to give you the truth. Okay. Potassium seems to help. I talk about potassium all the time. And she has a few exercises. So she's been doing a glute-focused functional exercise program. I'm going to tell you, this is something that I am going to emphasize. I may start talking about it on Twitter. Glute exercises. Glute-focused exercises. What happens to people as they get older? Generally, their butt muscles atrophy. Like, what's the biggest thing you often see in people as they age about what muscle gets smallest the most? Their butt. Okay. Men don't tend to have a lot of fat on our butts, so we just see that flat. They call it like the middle-age atrophy. And women carry a lot of fat around their hips, so you may not see their glute muscles shrinking, but they are underneath it. I am beginning to think that the key to longevity in the gym and in general is a lot more attention on the glute exercises and then transferring. So you do kind of like, if you're doing a quad exercise, you do a glute focused quad exercise. If you're doing a hamstring exercise, you do a glute focused hamstring exercise. Like, these things can be done and it will, if you do them right, I believe it will help to resolve your back pain. It will help to resolve your knee pain. It will help to resolve a bunch of things. Like, I do a lot of glute work in the gym now, and it's so much. I was just talking to a guy yesterday about how much easier it is to, like, everybody knows this, as you get older, if you're going from like walking to running or standing to running, it's like, it's like that getting going is like such a pain in the butt. You're like, oh, do I have to do this? And then you do it and then you get going and you're okay. what I can say is, since I've been doing some 4-foot walking, which is another thing, and the glute exercises, that starting out like that, getting going, there's no complaint in my body anymore. So I think the glute exercises are huge. I think that's why so many, especially guys, get back pain as they get older, is because all the sitting, their butt just atrophies. And it's some of the biggest muscles in your body that help your spine. So, okay, here's the testimonial. So I want you to pay attention. I know Weldon, this is Weldon. He talks a lot on Twitter about how much he loves the vitamin A detox. So I don't think he'd mind if I mention his name here. I'm not going to give his full name, but Weldon's all over my timeline saying good things. This is his testimonial. Now, I want you to pay attention, because we went over like zinc and copper. We've been over zinc and copper in terms of gray hair. I went over zinc and copper in terms of gray hair. I was on Elwin's podcast, which will come out soon, yesterday, talking about zinc and copper and gray hair. The copper crazy people will say that it's a copper deficiency that causes gray hair. Well, we're out here kind of reducing copper, avoiding vitamin A, getting our zinc, and then we get to see what happens with gray hair. And it is a very regular thing in our program for people to say their gray hair gets color again and gets darker. Here we go. I was worried that my hair wouldn't turn back dark very soon, but I can seriously tell how much darker it is now in this picture that was taken this evening. In the picture, I can see almost no gray at all. I'll be 48 in August, so I'm very happy. He's the same age as me. All the hair on my chest has turned back dark, and many grays have reversed on my arms. I have no gray hairs on my legs and only a few left in private areas. Amazing. It will be 5 years in August for me on the diet. So he's, close to a year behind me, same age. I was just noticing, actually, and so were some other people, that my beard is when I went from the mustache to the beard. I went from the beard to the mustache to the beard. My beard is actually coming in darker now, I think. So it's still happening. It's still changing. This is so that's that one. That's the 3 testimonials. So now let's get into this one. Let me share this. So, let me get this link. Here we go. We'll post that in there. So what am I about to drink? This is Soda Black. This is a product from Kelsey's store, Terranian Treasures. The link is in the chat. This is buffered niacin, so it's already buffered for you, and it's got charcoal in it. And this is what I use. If you saw me at the start of this episode and I was a little pink, that's because I did have a couple sips before I started, and my flush started early. Okay. So, love this stuff. It's got a little bit of a lemon. It's got a little bit of lemon in it. And it makes it so much easier when I make my own. Like, I have all the ingredients to make my own buffered niacin drinks. It's got the niacin, it's got the magnesium carbonate as the buffer, it's got charcoal, it's got sun fiber, it's got potassium citrate, it's got, I've started adding a little bit of fresh lime juice to it because it just helps the flavor. But yeah, this stuff is just so much easier. You just scoop it out, put it in a cup. So I love this stuff. If you guys want to check it out, you can go and check out the reviews. Amazing stuff. And then I wanted to get into one other thing. So this is specifically for those who have been doing the program for a while. So this is zinc niacinate. So this is niacin, flush niacin, nicotinic acid, bound to zinc. Okay. And it's made into a salve. One of the things we've talked about on this live stream a bunch is topical zinc for skin issues, like applying zinc directly to skin issues. And again, you can come down and read the testimonials about stuff like, I put this on the rash on my belly, nothing short of amazing, miracle on sore muscles. But I wanted to go over something specific today. Hold on one sec. I'm going to get that testimonial. It's relevant. Okay. So what I wanted to say was, those of you who have been doing this program a while, and we understand toxic bile theory. Now, if you don't understand toxic bile theory, go and watch episode 71 and episode 53. Are we on the right one? No, I'm sorry. Here it is. Here's the right one. Got it. Sorry. This is the zinc niacinate. Joe, thank you for pointing that out. I'm trying to like talk with you, and I'm getting that testimonial that I want from Kelsey right now. Anyway, zinc niacinate. For those of you who have, let's say, well, the most common thing that people will understand is, let's say you chose to eat a bunch of spicy food. People usually know this. I'm going to relate this to bile in a second. I'm not saying you have to eat spicy food. You eat a bunch of spicy food, and let's say you notice that you get a bit of a chemical burny sensation on your starfish, right? On your rear end as it comes out. Not pleasant, right? The other thing that happens to our people is that our people will often get a chemical burny sensation when they dump a lot of bile. Most of you out there know exactly what I'm talking about. When you dump a lot of bile, you get, you dump bile, and bile irritates things. So what this can do is, if you are willing, if you ever have that bile dump, chemical burn on your rear end, which is partially from the retinoic acid, which is used as a chemical peel. So think about this. Hold on one second. I just told you that spicy foods have a compound in them. One of the capsaicinoids is basically two retinoic acids joined. And I said, what would happen if you split those? You'd have retinoic acids, which is a chemical peel. They use it to dissolve the skin on people's faces. They call it a chemical peel. That's what they do. It's called a yellow peel. You can look it up. Look up retinoic acid peel or a yellow peel. They use it to dissolve the upper layers of cells on somebody's face. So then we have, let's say you eat spicy food. Let's say you made more retinoic acid in your gut. You chop those apart, and now you're pooping out retinoic acid. Would that burn? Probably. Then you got all the other toxic bile in it. Because toxic bile eats holes in things. So now also, if you dumped a bunch of toxic bile, it can also kind of do that chemical peel. So if you ever have, this would especially be noticeable, like if you have loose bowels. So if you have a big bile dump and it's a lot of bile in your intestines and you're getting kind of loose bowels and you feel this burning, what I'm saying with the zinc niacinate is this is something that you could apply to that area, and it will basically, in my opinion, in my experience, because I've used it, it will basically just pretty much go away. Let me find that. Let me see. Okay, here we go. This is a testimonial. Let me copy and paste this into that document where we had, I don't give names on these. Joe, I'll show you this in just a second. And here we go. Okay, Joe, you can show this now. So I was just talking about using this, like, let's say you get that burning sensation down there and you want relief. Well, what does it do for other things down there? Well, here we go. Wow, so I have a long-standing hemorrhoid that has been acting up lately. It was really bothering me tonight. I applied Kelsey's 40% zinc nicotinate or zinc niacinate. They're the same thing. Zinc nicotinate salve to it a couple of hours ago, and I just now realized that I had completely forgotten about it because it stopped hurting entirely, and the swelling/inflammation has eased up some. This stuff is awesome. Topical zinc is amazing. Niacin is very, very skin helpful. So you get zinc. Zinc is necessary for skin. Niacin is necessary for skin. One of the things, I'm not going to show it to you. Here's my little jar. Here's my little jar. And, well, I'll show it. Why not? When you get it out, so zinc oxide cream, like baby butt cream, like the diaper creams, is very, it rubs on very white. Okay, so you can see that it's white right now, the zinc niacinate, but I'm going to give it, unlike zinc oxide creams, this eventually rubs in clear. So zinc oxide is like the stuff that the lifeguards would wear, right? They'd have these things and this. Well, nobody wants to put that on and go out in public, right? Or at least, I mean, I'm not that type of person. But when you rub the zinc niacinate in, it goes in totally clear. So this is a big advantage of it over the zinc oxide creams. So that's those two things. Now, let us get into the meat of today. Wait, let me bring up the chat. We're going to go into some studies where they gave more studies of where they gave vitamin A and it didn't work. And we're going to go into a Cochrane review, which is a more independent review of the research, and see what they had to say about vitamin A supplements. Now, the things you guys must understand is that there is no difference in the human body between natural vitamin A and synthetic vitamin A. There is no difference. If you choose to make the mistake of the quote unquote, the appeal to nature fallacy, which means you're thinking that just because it's natural, it's somehow different and better. If you make that mistake with vitamin A, you will pay the price. You will absolutely pay the price. I will still be here later when you realize you've made a mistake. And I will tell, in a way, you can just say it to yourself. You can say, from me, I told you so. I warned you. You didn't believe me. You believed the gurus and the influencers who are pushing products like vitamin A stuff, liver pills and whatever. And you were wrong. So, same thing with egg yolks too, folks. So let's get into this. This is what I went over the last time. This was the big paper I went over last time. I'm just going to recover it to get started because I got a lot of these references from this paper, which you'll see why. Where's my thing? There it is. So vitamin A supplementation and morbidity among preschool children in South India. I'm going to hit something important in here. So they gave them every 4 months, the treatment group received 60 milligrams of vitamin A, 200,000 IUs, which I think averaged out to about 1,500 IUs a day, which is plenty for kids under 3 years old. Whereas the control group received a placebo. Cases of xerophthalmia and severe malnutrition were excluded. I went over this because xerophthalmia is supposed to be like a dead giveaway for vitamin A deficiency. So they didn't give the kids with the symptom of vitamin A deficiency, the most classic symptom of vitamin A deficiency, xerophthalmia, is dry eye. They didn't give them vitamin A? Why? Was it not going to work? And they didn't want to show that? I don't know. Anyway. And then severe malnutrition were excluded. So they left out kids with the classic vitamin A deficiency symptom and the most severe malnutrition, who should have probably been the lowest in vitamin A. I don't understand. This feels like somehow evil to me, but I'm sure somebody in research is going to be like, no, they did this because of whatever reason. Anyway, they measured them and they measured their vitamin A at baseline and at the end of 1 year. Okay. So they measured their vitamin A. They saw how big they were. The differences in respiratory, this is breathing, lungs, stuff like that, and diarrheal morbidity. This is how much, disease they have, like the level of disease. Between the two groups were not statistically significant. The vitamin A did nothing. And these findings remained unaltered after multivariate analysis in which the effects of age, sex, socioeconomic status, sanitation, etc. were considered. These findings are similar to other recent findings, so there's more studies showing this, and indicate that vitamin A supplementation does not reduce common morbidity disease in children with mild to moderate vitamin A deficiency in areas where access to healthcare and immunization are good. So they left out supposedly the severe vitamin A deficiency. Why would they do that? Don't they want to show that this works? It doesn't even work in mild to moderate. Okay, so let's keep going. Oops. Not that. There was, where was it that I wanted? There was something in here that Oh, yeah. Okay, let me find it. Did it unclick my highlighted stuff? Did I put that link, Joe? Trying to keep all these straight. Okay, yes. Got that. Oh, forget it. I'm just going to skip this one. There was something in here that I wanted to cover, but I'm not remembering it at the moment. And my little highlighting doesn't work on the PDFs from Sci-Hub. Oh, here it is. Here it is. Okay. So this is just a little. This is the same paper. Okay. Here's the whole paper. These results clearly demonstrate that vitamin A supplementation did not have a significant effect on either percent time ill or the number of episodes per child year for both respiratory illness and diarrhea, even after factors such as age, sex, nutritional status, birth order, immunization status, socioeconomic status, vitamin A intake, and mother's education were controlled for. So the vitamin A supplement did nothing. So let's keep going. Xerophthalmia, which is dry eye, one of supposedly the most classic symptoms of vitamin A deficiency. Yet all of our people here who are doing, people come to me with dry eye from vitamin A toxicity, and then we help it go away. Xerophthalmia is from, as I went over in the rickets episode, which was just last week, I think, it's a mineral deficiency. It's not vitamin A deficiency, okay? And it's also a protein deficiency and a calorie deficiency. So they're just not eating enough meat. So xerophthalmia, protein calorie malnutrition, and infections in children. Remember, this is supposed to be one of the most classic vitamin A deficiency symptoms. All children with evidence of xerophthalmia who were admitted to an inpatient facility for treatment of severe protein calorie malnutrition and its complications were compared to other inpatients with severe protein calorie malnutrition, but free from signs or symptoms of vitamin A deficiency. What are the signs and symptoms of vitamin A deficiency then? Wait. Okay. The dry eye patients, xerophthalmic inpatients, were older and had more severe hypoproteinemia than inpatients without eye signs. Wait, but I thought vitamin A was necessary for your eyes. They had lower protein in their blood. They were more starved, and they had more dry eyes. And were more undernourished by anthropometric, the measuring that they did, than a comparison group matched for age, sex, and type of protein calorie nutrition. Children with more severe eye lesions were more retarded in growth than those with minimal ocular signs. That makes sense, doesn't it? All inpatients had high rates of bacterial infections regardless of their vitamin status. All inpatients had high rates of bacterial infections regardless of their vitamin A status. However, xerophthalmic children had a highly significant increase in the rate of positive urine cultures. Mortality, risk of death rates were similar in all study groups, regardless of vitamin status. So they're saying here that your vitamin A lab the number in your blood didn't change anything because it's not a vitamin. Oh, wait, did I put this in the wrong spot? I got to keep track of all these windows that I got going. Yeah, there it is. Thanks, Mate. Okay, so let's keep going. Got to wipe off the charcoal from my beard. Here we go. Diarrhea, respiratory infections, and growth are not affected by a weekly low-dose vitamin A supplement. A masked, controlled field trial in children in southern India. I mean, they put it in the title. Baseline characteristics of treated and control subjects were similar and documented a prevalence of 11% xerophthalmia, so 11% of them had dry eye, and 72% of them had undernutrition. Weekly treatment with the low-dose vitamin A supplement did not influence the incidence, how often, severity, how strong, or duration, how long of diarrhea or respiratory infections and did not influence linear or ponderal growth. I'm not going to look up what ponderal is. Somebody else wants to, you can. Okay, so let's just keep going. The effect of vitamin A supplementation on the growth of preschool children in the Sudan. Did I do this one yet? No. Here we go. The results and the conclusions. Periodic vitamin A supplementation had no effect on the rate of weight or height gain in the total population or on the incidence of wasting, stunting, or wasting and stunting among children who were normally nourished at baseline. Normally nourished people do not benefit from vitamin A. This is what we said. Over the more well-nourished you are, the more vitamin A is a problem for you. The more problems it will cause you. These malnourished, poverty-stricken children sometimes can get a little benefit out of vitamin A. But as I've said before, the only people who ever show any benefit of vitamin A are starving. They're basically on the verge of starvation. What do we have here as the conclusion? Reducing poverty and improving access to adequate diets should remain the goals of the programs designed to improve the nutritional status of malnourished populations. It's not a vitamin A deficiency because it's not a vitamin. Normally nourished. No effect. Wait, let's just skip ahead here to this Cielo paper that I've been over a bunch of times. Let me make it a little bigger. Let me go back up to the top. The neurotoxic effects of vitamin A and retinoids. If you ever want to know how bad vitamin A is for your brain, you need to read this. If you refuse to read this, your brain may be too far gone. I'm sorry. It does happen. So, let's go find that very important quote. I may just have to search for it because it's way down here. Okay, let's make this a little bigger because I know Joe's going to ask for it. Okay. Very important. Oh, sorry, I didn't share the screen. Here we go. Let's just go find it. This is the paper, The Neurotoxic Effects of Vitamin A and Retinoids. And if you search for Cielo, it's a British journal. I mean, Brazilian. Let's go find that thing real quick there it is. Here's the quote. Nonetheless, it has been demonstrated that vitamin A intake, do they say supplement or food? Do they distinguish? No, they don't. You shouldn't either. Among well-nourished subjects, well-nourished, not adequately nourished, well-nourished. Americans are generally very well-nourished. You can see it on the street every day, right? May lead to decreased life quality and increased mortality rates. This means your life sucks and you die sooner. Vitamin A intake among well-nourished subjects. What do you think about these Weston Price people who are so well-nourished, as in they have plenty of protein and plenty of calories and they're taking in tons of vitamin A and they wonder why they're all allergic, that they need the GAPS diet? Well, because we showed that vitamin A causes allergies. So there's that little thing. But go and read this paper. Please read this paper. If you think vitamin A is good for your brain after this paper, you're beyond help. I'm sorry. So let's go back in here and let's see which one was the one we needed. Here we go. Excessive vitamin A supplementation increased the incidence of acute respiratory tract infections. A systematic review and meta-analysis. So these are the abbreviations they'll use. Vitamin A deficiency, vitamin A supplementation, acute respiratory tract infections, ARTI, VAS, and VAD. Okay. Subgroup analyses showed that vitamin A supplementation or food intake, don't ignore that, Vitamin A supplementation higher than the World Health Organization recommendations increased the incidence of acute respiratory tract infections by 13%. And in the high, pay attention to this part after what I just said. And in the high dose intervention group, the incidence rate among well-nourished children rose by 66%. If you are well-nourished and you're encouraging vitamin A in your diet, and you're wondering why are you getting sicker slowly over the years, you're doing it to yourself. You could stop anytime. Conclusions. No more beneficial effects were seen with vitamin A supplementation in children in the prevention or recovery of acute respiratory infections. Excessive vitamin A supplementation may increase the incidence of acute respiratory tract infections in children with normal nutritional status. Let's give cod liver oil. I've been over cod liver oil so many times. Cod liver oil is trash. It's rotten fish liver juice. Toxic, rotten fish liver juice. By definition. So, next one. The effect of a massive dose of vitamin A on morbidity, which is disease, right? Disease rates, and mortality, death rates in Indian children. So, risk of respiratory infection was higher in children with mild xerophthalmia, they're starving, than in children with normal eyes. Okay. So the xerophthalmia is showing that their nutrition is worse than the kids who had normal eyes. Vitamin A supplementation had no effect on morbidity status, disease status. Mortality rates were similar in two groups. The findings suggest that vitamin A supplementation alone may not reduce child mortality. Gosh, because it's a calorie and protein and zinc and taurine and iron problem. Now, this is a Cochrane review. So if you go and you look at the World Health Organization, who gives out shots in the third world that they call vitamin A immunizations. I've been over this before. The World Health Organization gives injections of vitamin A with vaccines in many third world countries, and they call the vitamin A an immunization. How in the world is vitamin A an immunization shot? Here's another thought on that. Don't we normally name shots like this after the disease that they're supposedly associated with? Okay. So if they name it vitamin A immunization, is vitamin A the name of the disease they're giving you? They're trying to give you vitamin A disease? Because in one of these papers, they actually they give a list of all the diseases that the kids had, and they actually said that vitamin A deficiency was a disease. They actually termed it as a disease. It's a magnesium deficiency is not a disease. Like a disease is symptoms. They don't want to ever call magnesium deficiency a disease, but they'll call vitamin A deficiency a disease, and then they'll give you an immunization for it, the WHO, who loves us all so much. So let's see this. Infant vitamin A supplementation. There was no effect of vitamin A supplementation for the primary outcome of all-cause mortality. None of the kids died any less. Based on 7 studies that included 21,000-something participants. Quality of evidence, moderate. Also, there was no effect of vitamin A supplementation on mortality, risk of death, or morbidity, disease states due to diarrhea or respiratory tract infection. There was an increased risk of bulging fontanelles, the swelling of the head case, because of vitamin A toxicity. One of the biggest, most classic symptoms of vitamin A toxicity in a little kid is bulging fontanelles. Their brain, their swelling, it's called idiopathic intracranial hypertension. Idiopathic means they don't know what causes it. Intracranial, inside the cranium, hypertension, high pressure. Headaches. the pressure inside there's so much that it's swelling out. This is bad. Like, how bad do you think this is for your brain? So there was an increased risk of bulging fontanelle within 24 to 72 hours of supplementation in the vitamin A group compared to control. Well, duh. Vitamin A supplementation did not have any statistically significant effect on vitamin A deficiency. Quality of evidence, moderate. This is not the World Health Organization will come out with their own review and they'll be like, vitamin A fixes everything, because they'll pick the specific studies they want. The Cochrane review doesn't push vitamin A, and they find that it doesn't do anything. Did I post this one? I think here, let me do this one in case I forgot. Okay. And then again, don't forget to read this Cielo paper, The Neurotoxicity of Vitamin A and Retinoids. The neurotoxic effects of vitamin A and retinoids. You can come back to this for years. Just go paragraph by paragraph. It is insane. Neurotoxicity has long been demonstrated as a possible side effect of inadvertent consumption or even under medical recommendation of vitamin A and retinoids at moderate to high doses. Nah, but I'm sure the liver you're eating, or the egg yolks you're eating, or the dairy you're slugging down, or the pork fat that you're eating, or the yellow and red and orange and dark green vegetables, they just won't cause this problem. I'm sure they won't. I'm sure. Place your bets. Come back when you're done. I'll still be here. So that's what we got today. Let me put that away. Let's do that. And let me get my video back on the screen. Oh, there it is. Okay. So I can see myself. So I know what's going on. Let's go look at the chats. Okay, Joe, if you want to get the super chats, we're ready to start that. So if any of you have super chats, that's just where you give a small donation to the channel. It puts your question to the top of the list. If you want your question at the top of the list, that is the way to do it. Otherwise, I go down the list of questions from the top to the bottom. And that's what we're going to do. So I saw one super chat. Let me go find that one. Okay, N. Rustica says, the timeline Grant Genereux says it's normal to experience a rough patch of health 6 to 9 months into withdrawing from vitamin A. This seems accurate to me. Do you agree? Okay. Did you know there's an entire video on this channel where Grant and I talk about the timeline of vitamin A detox? Let me go find that. Let me go find that for you. So just so we have it. Now, this is old. The timeline of vitamin A detox video, let me go see when it came out. March 6th, 2020. Okay, so here, let me post this in the chat. So this video is 4 years old. Here, I'll bring it up. Let's just bring it up. I don't want it to play. No, let's not. So I'm going to show, I usually don't show older videos of myself, but you can see me here. I look a lot different now, don't I? This is 4 more years. Grant was probably at 5 or 6 years, right? 4 years ago, he was at like 5 years in. You can see videos of him now. He looks much better. I look much better. This is what avoiding vitamin A does. Some people, Thor was saying that he heard people mentioning that I'm like aging in reverse. And even people have noticed that my facial structure is different. We are changing bone structure. We are changing everything. So anyway, yeah, the timeline of vitamin A detox with Grant Genereux and Dr. Garrett Smith. So now the thing I want you to know is that, Joe, we can take that off now. The thing I want you to know is that that was before toxic bile theory. I Nothing against Grant. Grant's keeping one of the things we have to appreciate about Grant. I mean, of the many things to appreciate about what Grant has done. One of the biggest things we have to appreciate about Grant is he has kept his approach fairly simple. It's, he's been doing his, the prison diet with, the beef or bison, the black beans, and the brown or white rice for a long time. For those of you who just saw his niacin article come out, he started eating, unbeknownst to him, fortified with niacinamide, trash, garbage, poison form of niacin. And after he did that long enough, he got symptoms. This is not the same as nicotinamide or niacinamide. I'm sorry. This is not the same as flush niacin, nicotinic acid. It's not the same at all. It's not the same at all. We don't see people having issues over time with flush niacin because it's completely different. Niacinamide is poison. There are groups out there, like people who love to drink orange juice and eat sugar and take thyroid hormone, who advocate niacinamide. It is trash garbage. It is. Don't take it. Avoid fortified flour. Avoid it completely. Between the iron they add to it and the niacinamide they add to it and other crap in there, just don't. So that article, Grant sent me an email and he wanted Kelsey and I to let him know if anything was needed to be corrected in that article. And there's a couple things in there that I think would do with some correction. Because, Grant made the mistake that I used to make, which was that all niacin is basically the same. And it's absolutely not true. It's absolutely not true. Now that I know that, I can use flush niacin and nicotinic acid for my own benefit and avoid the whole farce that is whenever you hear niacin being bashed in the news or the media or whatever, or they're talking about fortified foods, they're talking about niacinamide. There's a paper saying that as niacin intakes have gone up in the US, due to fortification, they think it's made kids fatter. Niacinamide is trash. That's what's in flour. It's not flush niacin. You've never eaten bread and gotten flush. It's not flush niacin. It never was. So this is very important. So the detox setback. So Grant came up with a term, the detox setback, because he didn't know what was going on. He made a term, which is, what he did was totally fine. He made a term called the detox setback because he saw as people went through it, there was a point where they seemed to not feel good. And this could go on for several months. And then they would come out of it and they would start improving. Okay, so what do I think is the detox setback is? It's one of a couple of things. Could be zinc deficiency creeping up on people. Because they probably started, if they're vitamin A toxic when they started, they're zinc deficient. If they're copper toxic when they started, they're zinc deficient. Just because you're eating a pound of meat a day, which is only like 20 milligrams of zinc, it doesn't mean you're catching up and you're getting ahead. So let's say they get a zinc deficiency because detox uses more zinc than normal. So you come into it with a zinc deficiency, detox uses up more than normal. Your diet's not maintaining it. For those people often doing Grant's thing where they're just trying to do it through food, they're not supplementing. How in the world are they ever going to catch up? They have to get to a point where their toxicity just by itself works itself out while they're zinc deficient. And then eventually, hopefully, they become less toxic enough that the zinc intake that they have can start to bring them back. There's that. Then there is the real fact, this is more likely what it is as people get less toxic, they start dumping more bile. They start making more bile and dumping more bile. Now, Grant's people generally, anybody who's here, obviously, this is not you, but the people who only follow Grant and the egg cells, the pro-egg crowd, they don't understand toxic bile theory at all. That's not their bag, baby. That's not what they do. This is what I do. I think Grant would get a lot further with toxic bile theory if he understood it, but that's not his thing. He doesn't want to get into it. And nothing against, I mean, like Grant and I, we were just talking on emails the other day. So the detox, if you want to call it the detox setback, you can call it whatever you want. I don't care. Here's some important sayings. This is not a game. What I did, and versus what Grant's people did, is Grant's people were just going, we don't know why it happens. It just seems to happen. And I went, there's a reason. And because I'm looking at multiple angles and we understand toxic bile theory, we can say, well, like the two big things I talked about, maybe it's a zinc deficiency. Maybe they could try taking a little bit of zinc, see if it goes away. Maybe they're eating too much soluble fiber and they put way too many black beans in their diet for them, or they put in too much oatmeal, or they put in too many apples and they're just not tolerating the soluble fiber. They're dumping too much bile. They're leaking too much bile into the system, and now they don't feel good. But that's toxic bile theory. That's not for them to understand. And if they're on the prison diet, they can only eat certain things. So then there could be just over time, the liver starts dumping more bile, and then this can happen. So what do we do in the program? Well, people will talk about it all the time in the Love Your Liver program. We start ratcheting down the things that we know dump bile. And then as people calm down on those things, they start going, oh, I feel so much better. Wow, because I troubleshot all this stuff and I'm pretty good at coming up with these theories, and then we test them out, and then if we see that they work, then we go with them. But could, like, those three things are just three of the possibilities. And does it require a person to test them out based on what they think? Like, let's say somebody was already on zinc picolinate or zinc niacinate from Kelsey. She has liquid zinc niacinate if any of you want to try that too. But let's say you're already on a decent amount of zinc. Okay, so it's probably not zinc deficiency. Okay, let's look elsewhere. Like, this is not very difficult when we understand where to look. If you don't join the Love Your Liver program, you're not getting the full scope of my work in the live streams. You're not getting the full help of all the people in the Love Your Liver program, where it's like a helpful Facebook. It's like what social media should be. Like, there is no trolling. There is no, I will not put up with negativity and immaturity in the Love Your Liver program. So there's not as much humor, because there is humor. We have memes and stuff, and you guys see memes on like my Instagram and stuff like that. But I take this work so seriously that I don't like a lot of humor in it, because I don't want someone to misunderstand humor and hurt themselves because they didn't know it was a joke. I take this very, very seriously. I won't let, terrible humor that's, if you want to do humor, one of the things you can do with written humor, folks, is just put an emoji there. Do your joke and put an emoji so people know the emotion behind it, because text doesn't have the emotion. Emojis, it's like the joke about like the print that you use can totally change it. There was one where it was like the scratchy print, and it was like the psychopath, like murderer kind of thing. And then it was like bubbly print, and it was the same words. So you could interpret the words extremely differently just by the font it was in. Well, if the font's all the same, the only thing you can do to change the intention is to maybe put an emoji. Okay. But I just banned somebody from the Love Your Liver network the other day, because first of all, they were saying stuff that is totally out of line with what we're doing. And they made another comment on one of my posts that was just stupidly rude. And if you're here listening, you know why you got kicked out. You know why. Go ahead and comment on my stuff here so I can kick you out of here too. Ain't got no time for that. So, but yeah, the detox setback, they have the detox setback. We have actual mechanisms and things that we can work on. We are not the same. So that's that. But does it happen? Yeah, it happens. Okay, Dylan says, why do both carotenemia and high bilirubin, as in jaundice, cause the skin to turn yellow/orange? Is it just so high that it tries detoxing it through the skin? It's putting it somewhere. Yeah, Sam. Oh, I know you saw it. I saw your comment under it. You know exactly what I'm talking about. Yeah, Sam commented under it, and he went, he said, wow, that was rude, or something just to that effect. And I was like, oh, that was horrible. Like, it was horribly rude. It was just like, yeah. So you guys know what I said was, I said, we're closing down. Like, we're taking a holiday for a week to get stuff done and to give Julie a break. We were taking a week off, and I was just announcing it to everybody so they could get their supplements either before, or they realize they have to wait until we're back. Okay, seems like a pretty basic thing for me to do for the 2,000 people in the network. Order your supplements in time, or you're going to have to wait. And this guy's comment was, did I ask? I just pulled out the ban hammer and dropped it. Like, and then, well, actually what we did was we went and looked at his other posts, and we saw that there was a pattern. And then I said, you're done. Now, just so you know, we put it multiple places on the Love Your Liver program where there's no refunds. So don't come in trying to like troll and then find out that, yeah, you spent your money on it and no, you're not getting your money back. There's so much value in the Love Your Liver program. People come in and they go, oh my God, this is like more than I ever got from all the doctors I ever saw in their history. And they're actually getting better now. Like $99 a year to get better. Oh no. So please don't try to get all the free information out of me on social media or other stuff, because, you know, I too like to put food on my table and a roof over my head. And it's an energy exchange. Don't put no energy in and expect a bunch of energy out. This is just the way the world works, people. So, so back to the carotenemia and the high bilirubin. Why does it cause the skin to turn yellow-orange? It's just accumulating in the skin. I mean, I don't know, if you got a bunch of charcoal on your skin and you said, well, why does my skin look black? It's because you have charcoal on your skin. Methylene blue will cause people's tongues to turn yellow, and their saliva to turn yellow, and their piss to turn yellow. And it's these things, if they are not being cleared out. Methylene blue is toxic, by the way. If you don't know, don't take the toxic fluorescent dye that was the very first synthetic drug made by the pharma cartel, and it led to the development of chemotherapy. Don't take it. It's going to end badly. I have bad news for you. If you're already taking it, my suggestion would be to get off it as soon as possible. But if you need to wait for Kelsey and my special episode that we're planning on getting to very soon, then you can wait. But the longer you're on it, the harder the withdrawals are going to be, and the worse your symptoms are going to be afterwards. And that's actually in the research too, when you understand toxic bile theory. So, yeah. So Kelsey is in the, if any of you guys have any questions for Kelsey about her products, she's in the chat right now. She's in the Love Your Liver program. She's got her own Telegram group about niacin. So maybe she can post that stuff in the chat. So, but yeah, why it just accumulates in the skin. So think of it as, okay, well here, let me add this. I lost the quote, but there was a quote that I used to have about a plastic surgeon who did a bunch of liposuction. And he said, this was his quote, very close to his quote. He said, I can always tell when my clients are eating well because their fat is orange. And I'm like, I don't, putting this together, you go, well, now we know that vitamin A aggravates obesity and causes most people to get fat. It causes some people to get excessively skinny. Yes, both can happen from the same thing. That blows people's minds too much. I don't understand how people can't realize that in some people, most people go heavier, and very few people, like probably 5%, go underweight. So we got that vitamin. And so they're getting liposuction, right? So they obviously are carrying more weight than they would like. And he's saying, oh, they eat healthy because they have orange fat. So they're storing the vitamin A, especially the carotenoids, in the body fat. With carotenoids, why does carrot juice tend to turn people more orange than other things? It is orange, but I believe the body will tend to try to store the carotenoids out in the fat and the skin because it has to come to the liver to be detoxed. So if you can't detox it fast enough, if you're drinking carrot juice, kale garbage, it's got to go somewhere. Like, people just don't understand that, like if you got too much work, if you have a job and you got too much work coming at you and you can't do it all, do you just throw away the jobs? You're just like, I can't do it all, let's just throw it away? No, you let it pile up. What do you think your body does with toxins? It can't just throw them out. It has to deal with them. Pushes them into the fat, pushes them into the skin. And then you see the color change of carotenemia, hypercarotenemia, carotenoderma. They have like 3 or 4 different names for it. And then I've shown the paper where the skin can turn beta carotene into a retinol ester, retinol bound to a fatty acid ester, send it to the liver. That's the storage form of vitamin A. So see what I'm saying? Your body will keep it in the skin until it converts it into the storage form of vitamin A and send it to your liver. And your body will, the mango, let me go find the mango paper. Okay, here we go. Joe, you can show this. Here is the paper. So what I want people to understand, people, the vitamin A lovers will be like, well, your body you'll regulate your beta carotene conversion into vitamin A depending upon how much you need. Well, first of all, we here know that you don't need any of it. But what your body does is, as you become more vitamin A toxic, you will slow down your retinol esters in the liver, stored vitamin A in the liver. As your liver gets to overflowing, you will stop chopping up the beta carotene into retinoids, and you will keep it out in the skin and the body fat. What evidence do we have of this? Hypercarotenedermia in Zambia. Which children turned orange during mango season? There's a very important line in here. This perspective describes a cohort of rural Zambian children who have adequate diets in vitamin A, mostly as pro-vitamin A carotenoids. So somehow science says that beta carotene is just a fine source of vitamin A. It's only like the carnivore people and the keto people and the paleo people who say that plant vitamin A doesn't convert enough. But science says it does. Who were given high-dose vitamin A supplements till the age of 5 years. So I don't understand. They have adequate diets in vitamin A as carotenoids. They were also given high-dose vitamin A supplements till the age of 5 years, who have access to vitamin A fortified sugar. So they're giving them sugar that has vitamin A in it because they love them so much, and whose mothers had access to vitamin A fortified sugar throughout pregnancy and lactation. If we thought that vitamin A was toxic, does this look like they're trying to poison these people? So here's the key thing. Many of these children turned orange during mango season. So they had a ton of carotenoids coming in. And this phenomenon occurred at estimated liver reserve, so liver biopsy estimated greater than 1 micromole of retinol equivalents per gram of liver. This is the marker of toxicity in the liver. Okay, so they're saying the children turned orange when they were eating lots of carotenoids, and it happened when they hit liver toxicity vitamin A levels. That's when it happened. So if people are, I'm telling you here, folks, if you've ever turned orange or yellow from vitamin A toxicity, and then you got rid of it, let's say you stopped doing the stupid carrot juicing or whatever. I know we have one person on the program who got orange from red palm oil. She had a bunch of red palm oil left, and she thought she was into the whole Weston Price thing back then, and she thought vitamin A was good, and she's going to take it. It's going to be all the tocopherols and the tocotrienols and the carotenoids. She turned orange. She was my highest. She had turned orange in the past. She was my highest hair calcium person that I have brought down. I had another woman who was higher, but she didn't stick with the program. Anyway, this woman, I brought her from a 700 on a hair test down to like 30s. It took 2.5 years. She did 5 years of cod liver oil, both regular and fermented. And then there was the red palm oil. Highest hair calcium I've ever seen. Now, in hair analysis, the way they normally teach you is that you use vitamin A to bring down hair calcium. I'm going to tell you that they're completely wrong, that most of hair test science is absolute garbage. They have misinterpreted. I went back and I reverse engineered what they were doing, and I tested it out to see what worked, and then I came up with a system that actually works. It's actually very, very simple. So that is you turn orange when your liver is full of vitamin A. So your liver will store the beta carotene and convert it into retinol as much as it can until the liver fills up. And as the liver starts overflowing, that's when your skin goes. So if you've ever, like I said, if you've ever been yellow or orange, you are vitamin A toxic. If you have never done a low vitamin A diet, if you had yellow or orange skin, and let's say you changed your diet so that went away, that vitamin A went back to your liver. It's stored there in your liver now. It's not carotenoids out in your skin. It's retinoids in your liver now. And I will tell you that I've watched people who came to me with orange skin, and they told me, I have orange skin, and I saw their vitamin A levels, and their vitamin A levels did not start to drop in their blood until their skin had turned back to normal color. Is this all making sense now? They had to move the carotenoids out of the skin to the liver before the liver could start working on its levels, which then reflected in the blood level. So that's that. Are there any other super chats? Nope. Okay. Oh, that bilirubin. Let me do the bilirubin. So we'll just call it jaundice. I don't know if they're gonna yeah, it's just okay, here we go. Let's just do the simple explanation. Okay. Wow, hold on. Here we go. So in terms of why does the bilirubin go to the skin? I mean, can it actually can it detox? Okay, that's a good question, Dylan. You added that last part that triggered my a way of thinking about it. When you said, is it just so high it tries detoxing it through the skin? I believe that one of the reasons the body puts vitamin A, carotenoids, and retinol and bilirubin in the skin is because ultraviolet light, as in whether you're using regular, what do they do with babies with jaundice? They put them under ultraviolet lights. Sunlight can also do it too. Sunlight and ultraviolet light are oxidizers. So they help break things down. So they are oxidizing the bilirubin or the carotenoids or the retinoids in the skin and then putting them back into the system. Now, this can be good if your liver's running pretty well, or it can just overload your liver if you start dumping too much. And this is why, like, when people go out in the sun too long, they often don't feel good because you just broke down a bunch of vitamin A in your skin. It didn't go, it's not gone. You changed its form. You oxidized it. You went from retinol, or you went from beta carotene to retinol or retinaldehyde, and then that went into retinoic acid. It didn't disappear. It doesn't disappear until it leaves your body through the bile to the poop, through the kidneys to the urine, or through the skin. Now, obviously, if you're collecting carotenoids and retinoids and bilirubin in the skin, it's not necessarily detoxing. Although we do have people who say that they used to have yellow sweat. You know, their bed sheet would be stained yellow, or their shirts and the armpits would stain yellow. Like they're sweating out something yellow, right? We know what yellow things are. So it does come out in the sweat. And there's one group out there who wrote a book on the flush niacin and cardio. I just did a post on Twitter about the flush niacin cardio infrared sauna detox. There's a group out there that wrote a book on this process, and they said that this process would deplete the body of vitamin A, vitamin D, and vitamin E. Here we are saying they're toxins, and they're saying your body is somehow detoxing these crucial elements. For what reason? Why would your body get rid of these things? Because they're poison. It's easy. That's the only explanation. Your body knows they're poison, it's trying to sweat them out. So here, let's go with this. Jaundice, also known as hyperbilirubinemia, too much bilirubin in the blood, is defined as a yellow discoloration of the body tissue resulting from the accumulation, we use that word a lot, of excess bilirubin. Deposits of bilirubin happens only when there is an excess of bilirubin, and this indicates increased production. Wait, like too much bile production? Bilirubin? Or impaired excretion, like something's blocked. Or intrahepatic cholestasis, where the bile is going straight back into the blood from the liver itself. The normal serum levels of bilirubin are less than 1 milligram per deciliter. Listen to this, though. However, the clinical presentation of jaundice with peripheral yellowing of the eye sclera, so that's the yellow, the whites of your eyes are yellow, also called scleral icterus, is best appreciated when serum bilirubin levels exceed 3 milligrams per deciliter, so 3 times the normal. Listen to this. With further increase in serum bilirubin levels, the skin will progressively discolor, ranging from lemon yellow to apple green, especially if the process is long-standing. The green color is due to biliverdin. Isn't bile green? Bile is yellow, and bile is green. So yeah, it's too much bile in the blood. They're just leaking bile in the blood. There's people out there, especially, oh my gosh, certain groups who try to say that more bilirubin in the blood, bile is an antioxidant and bilirubin some antioxidant. They're like, look at Wilson's disease. And I go, and they're saying Wilson's disease has high bilirubin, right? Or is it Wilson's or is it what's the other one? Isn't there a Wilson's that's bilirubin? I know Wilson's is copper, but I think there's a Wilson's that's bilirubin. What's the one where people have the yellow hands? I think my mom had it. Somebody give it to me in the chat. It's like a French word. It's like a French name. Gilbert's. That's what it is. Anyway, they take one health condition. They're like, it has high bilirubin and they have less rates of certain other diseases. And then you go, well, why don't you go and look at all the other diseases that have high bilirubin, where they're disease states and they have high bilirubin? Like all the other ones with high bilirubin are bad diseases and they have high bilirubin. And then you start seeing they're like, this one disease, which is a genetic malfunction, has high bilirubin, and they're doing better. It's awful. And then the other thing you need to know is if you see in very serious diseases and you see low bilirubin, they're not making much bile. They're not detoxing. That's why the diseases are so bad. So this is where you have to understand toxic bile theory. If you don't understand toxic bile theory, or you're unwilling to understand that different things can happen in the body over time, you know, things that happen at start. It's like alcoholism. I've used this example before. Most people, when they are alcoholics in their younger years or in the earliest years, they get fat. And then once their liver is totally trashed, they keep drinking all the alcohol and they get very, very skinny arms, very, very skinny legs. And usually they have the big hard belly. So they went from an overweight state from the alcohol to an underweight state from the alcohol. So these two things, that's just one simple example. But yeah, that's what I got for you, Dylan, on the carotenemia and the bilirubin. It's just accumulating in the skin. The body can break it down. One of the reasons we could put it in the skin is because it is exposed to light, which helps break it down. Okay. Hope that answered that question. We're at 11:47. So let's see. I'm going to look through here. If you guys have any super chats, you better get them in. I'm just going to go down and look for a first question. Zen Dog was saying, "Hey, I am so a spring chicken." Okay. I mean, it's better. It is really cool. One of the things about the Love Your Liver crew and the low vitamin A crew is everybody's just like, I'm doing better than when I was younger. Like, and they're not younger anymore. They're older. So it is really cool. Like it will really become so obvious as the years go on that the low vitamin A people are hardly aging at all. It's going to be really cool. So, oh yeah, Zendog was saying Rome's standing meditation, shaking, bouncing thing rocks. Simple, easy, genius, requires patience, filling me with awe regularly. Zendog, I don't know if you're still here, or does anybody have a link? Is that standing, shaking meditation, is it on IG or is it in his courses? If you guys could just answer that, if it's a link on the internet or a YouTube or whatever, link it, please. If it's not, and if it's in one of his courses, then if you guys want to find Rome's website, you can find Rome's website down in the information below. We linked to his nervous system reset, I believe it's called. But you could find his other products, I'm sure, through that. Or there's also his Instagram. I think he's Romeza, Romeza on Instagram. So Mateo was asking, what's the glute-focused exercises, Dr. Smith? That is Bret Contreras' work, the glute guy. That's a very good place to start. He is the most science-based in that area. Tons of stuff on his Instagram. That's a of places to start with good, solid information. That's a good place. So, yeah. Okay. Heather Parker, she put the no acetol. Yeah, I don't remember the joke, but I get it. Vasil said, hold the whole Love Your Liver program with thick butts in a few months from now. Possibly. I mean, doesn't everybody, it's kind of funny. Doesn't everybody appreciate a nice butt, a nice muscular butt especially on the opposite sex? I mean, I actually think, I'm going to say this, since I've been doing this work, like my jeans are not fitting anymore. It's hilarious. Like it's becoming like a problem because they're, you know, if you don't fit into them, you don't fit into them. And it's not my waist that's causing it. So the glute training is just, it is the most overlooked. You got to, I mean, and I'm going to say this, I used to be a meathead. I mean, I was absolutely a meathead, and you hear the meatheads on Twitter and wherever, they're going, just deadlift and squat. You don't have to train your glutes. Your glutes will get training anyway. And then eventually, a lot of them do get back problems. and they let's say they try to do some glute stuff and they're like, I can't even feel my glutes firing. They can't feel it. I know, because I was this way when I started. And then you start doing it and your glutes start activating. And then all of a sudden you have like some of the biggest muscles in your body that are awake now. And I can say that my legs overall have never been at this level of size and shape. So my whole legs, I think, and people will say about women who get like the BBLs, the Brazilian booty lifts, right? They'll say, you can look at them and compare their legs to their butt. And if their butt is way bigger than their legs, it's fake. And here I am saying I've been focusing on picking exercises that are glute focused, and now my legs are bigger. I don't feel like I work out my legs that hard, but they're getting bigger. And so is my bum. And I don't care what anybody says about me for this. Jealousy is a hell of a thing. I'm having a good time in my training, and I feel like back pain and knee pain and any of this stuff is going to be like, I'm just not going to have to worry about it for the most part. I think this is the missing piece. And if you don't want to do it, I don't care. But if you're willing to do it, I think this is the missing piece for a lot of people. So Susan said, my husband and I are both having a restoration of hair pigment. It started with the extra molybdenum combined with nicotinic acid. Hey, some of our favorite things, right? Matei says, Dr. Smith, are you still drinking activated charcoal a little later than the nicotinic acid? No. I put it right in there with it. Yeah, I don't separate them at all. There's no need to separate them. I'm going to say this again. The only research that anybody has ever used to say that activated charcoal absorbs nutrients, like it could suck up your nutrients, there's one paper. Let me go find it. This is how they've duped you. Let me see if I can find it real quick. One study. If somebody knows the charcoal study and the apple juice, if you can find it, that'd be great. I think I may have just found it. No. Let me find it. Oh, that's what I need. Let me do that. There it is. Okay. Let me let it load. There it is. Okay. Joe, you can show this. This is the only paper that the mainstream conventional and the mainstream alternative have ever used to say that charcoal might deplete nutrients in your system. Might. Effect of activated charcoal on water-soluble vitamin content of apple juice. This is the paper. This is where the whole urban legend started, okay? So, considerable reduction in ascorbic acid, niacin, pyridoxine, thiamine, and biotin concentrations was found, while there was a dramatic improvement in the color and clearness of apple juice. Okay. Why did that do that? This is how they say that, charcoal is going to suck all your vitamins out. Okay. There have been studies looking at people who had parts of their intestines removed and they had a colostomy bag. And these people took activated charcoal like 3 times or more a day, every day, so that their colostomy bag, which is, basically a bag full of crap, and they had to go around in public, so their bag full of crap didn't smell. So they were taking the charcoal as a deodorizing agent. So they're missing part of their intestine, and they're taking high doses of charcoal. If anybody should get nutrient deficient, it was them, and they didn't, and they did this for years. You have been lied to that charcoal soaks up vitamins. What charcoal does is it adsorbs, so it means it's a charge that it attracts things into it to hold them. Charcoal will constantly trade out. So think of it as like you're in a store and you see, let's say we're talking about 2 ladies. You go in the store and you find a dress that you like. You go to the first rack. You're like, oh, I like this dress. Okay, so you pick it up. This is the charcoal picking up something that it attracted via the charge. It adsorbed it. Okay, so it's holding on to that dress. Charcoal keeps floating through your body. You keep going through the store. You run into another dress rack and you go, oh, wait, you're only going to buy one dress that day, let's say. You see that dress, I like that better than this one. So you put the old one back and you grab the new one. This is the more toxic thing that the charcoal ran across. So you may like nice dresses. The charcoal likes the most toxic things. So let's say you go to the next dress rack and you find something you like even more. So your charcoal finds something even more toxic. It exchanges it and it puts the other one back into the system. So charcoal, as it's going through your system, will adsorb the most toxic things it comes across, and it will trade out. It will keep trading out until it's out of you. And this is why, like, let's say it comes across vitamins. Oh, I mean, this isn't a glass of apple juice. There's nothing else coming into this. Do you think, based on these big brains that everybody here has, that your body is going to come across probably something worse for you than these things as it goes through your system? My guess is 100%. Absolutely. But when it says it's dramatic improvement in color and clearness, well, that's grabbing onto things like polyphenols and things that we don't want. Dramatic. So it's considerable with the vitamins, but it's dramatic in the color and clearness. So that's the whole basis of them. So do I separate? Okay, here's what you need to separate charcoal from. You need to separate charcoal from any medications you're still on, because medications are pharma cartel products are by definition toxic. Okay, by definition, they're toxins. Remember, medications, the main thing that they give them to you for, like let's say they're giving you a statin to lower cholesterol, what they're saying is the main side effect of statins is to lower your cholesterol. They're giving you a poison to cause your body to do something. What it does is the side effect. So whatever medications you're on, like if you're on a blood pressure medicine to bring it down, the most common side effect of that toxin they just gave you is to lower your blood pressure. Then there's all the other side effects that you can have with it. Okay. So charcoal will grab onto medications because that's what it does. Then if you were ever taking any chlorine compounds, here, let me close some windows. If you're ever taking chlorine compounds, then is my screen all frozen? It will absorb those too. It's all the YouTube windows I have open, Joe. Okay. Yeah, I had to close I had too many YouTube windows open, I think. So yeah, so that's the whole psyop on activated charcoal. Activated charcoal, that you cannot find a single research paper showing. Well, actually, let me go do this. Let me go do charcoal longevity. Let's see if I can find it. I mean, okay, so let's do this one. This is not the one I was looking at. This is not the one I wanted specifically, but so if people have kidney disease, right, they might be nutrient deficient, losing nutrients through their leaky kidneys, which are leaky because of the bile eating away at them. So what does charcoal do? It binds to the toxins in bile. It binds to the bile. It would help less of the bile from the intestines, which could leak into the bloodstream through leaky gut or through the bile ducts or through going back up into your stomach. We call that GERD. It would grab onto that and help you poop it out instead of it going into the bloodstream and going to your second line, which is your kidneys. Does this make sense? So what I'm saying is the charcoal soaking up the bile. Bile is much more toxic than vitamins. And then it doesn't go to the kidneys. So let's just see. The results showed a significant reduction in both serum urea and serum phosphorus levels after 8 weeks of oral activated charcoal treatment. Where was it? It improved urea and phosphorus levels, which obviously they're saying are issues with people who have chronic kidney failure. How long did they do this? The other biomarkers weren't affected. What was this? How long? Tell me how long. It doesn't say. "82 patients on regular hemodialysis were enrolled." So they were, I don't know how often they were going. And we did a whole show on uric acid and gout related to toxic bile theory. So you can go check that out. Did I do this link? I think I did. We'll just do it again just to make sure. So yeah, that's what we got. Oh, there it is. Ramon comes through with a super chat. Okay. I'm going to make some clarification here. Ramon says, sorry, I've been away. Well, thank you. I'm sorry. I forgot to say thank you for the super chats. Thank you, Dylan. Thank you. And we got Johnny. I'm missing all these. Okay. So I'm sorry. I'll get to these. So Dylan, thank you. And Rustica, thank you. Forgot to say my thank yous when we did that. My apologies. Yeah, let me get to that one in a second. Let me get to yours, Gianni, since I already started reading this one. Ramon, what is it with the new rage on hearts of palm? What ratio of soluble to insoluble fiber is in it? What's your take on it? First, the important thing is if somebody else is saying it and you don't find it in the Love Your Liver program, it's not a rage for me. So if people are out on places like Grant Generou's forum, or there's a Facebook group that is more associated with Grant and I than the Facebook group on vitamin A toxicity is the main one, the oldest one, is a wasteland now. I would not suggest going there. There's one that is linked to me and Grant, and that is much better. There are people who actually understand that eggs don't help vitamin A detox, unlike some others. But hearts of palm, I can look into it. Do I think it's going to be something? I don't know. Let's see. The geriatric dietitian. That's funny that came up. So finding ratios of soluble fiber to insoluble fiber can be hard. So I'm looking here first. Like, I've done no research on this, Ramon. I'm just looking through it. From one thing I'm thinking is that hearts of palm, I could be completely wrong. I don't think they have a lot of calories. So wait, why is my search not working? Oh, sorry, it's on the wrong. Well, this page said in the search that it had hearts of palm, but anyway, okay. Oh, wait, sorry, I lost my share. Let me fix that. So we got that here. Okay. So again, I'm just looking at this. A lot of places don't mention the ratio of soluble fiber to insoluble fiber. But what I feel like I remember is that Hearts of Palm doesn't have much in the way of calories. I could be wrong. Okay, Hearts of Palm contain polyphenols. Polyphenols are in most plant foods. Hearts of Palm are obviously fairly white, so there's not a lot of the really bad polyphenols that are very colored. Apple skin has polyphenols. It's not something that is like life or death to avoid, but generally we're not looking for polyphenols, but I'm not saying that this is not a make or break. Just them saying, because like there's a lot of things they'll say, oh, it has vitamin A in it, and you look at the vitamin A content and it's like nothing. Vegetable palm hearts showed significant antioxidant properties due to their considerable chlorogenic acid content. I don't know if that's necessarily good. Okay. Well, a 2020 study found that canning may cause a loss in its antioxidant activity and fiber content. Where is the fiber going? That's what I want to know. How does fiber disappear? $100 grams. So like close to 1/4 pound, right? 1/4 pound has 28 calories. Okay, so that's not much calories. That could be a good thing. You want to fill yourself up on not a whole lot of calories. That could be a good thing. 2 grams of fiber. So you got to eat close to 1/4 pound of these to get 2.5 grams of fiber and 28 calories. This kind of sounds like a diet food to me, like the common diet foods where they're like, it really fills you up, but it doesn't have much calories. That's what this is looking like to me. This is a lot of iron for a plant food. Three times as much sodium as potassium. That's really interesting. Contains zinc. How much zinc? 1 milligram. Okay. For 1/4 pound. They're saying it's high in soluble and insoluble fiber. I don't know. I'm going to say that, okay, so heart of palm, so just everybody knows, heart of palm is one of the things we talk about with plant foods is generally if it's white to off-white, it's probably okay, at least in terms of vitamin A. It's not high in vitamin A. The polyphenols thing, polyphenols are generally colored, like that's blueberries and coffee and these chocolate, these things that are very high in polyphenols. They typically have a color, so it doesn't seem to me like there's a lot of polyphenols in hearts of palm. It just seems like, if I'm eating food, I'm like, I'm gonna eat food for energy, and this is not energy here. 28 calories for 1/4 pound. If you're trying to fill yourself up without a lot of calories, if that was your goal, this could work. But this is not a lot of fiber. Like a 1/4 cup of beans or half a cup of beans has 5 grams of soluble fiber is the general rule we go by. So this is not to eat 1/4 pound of these and get 2.5 grams of protein. That's not a lot. So I'm not, this is kind of like it's something that could be used, but in terms of overall benefits and all that stuff, it's kind of getting like a solid meh. I'm not against it. I'm not going to go and throw it into my diet. I'll put it that way, especially not if it's coming out of a can. If you can avoid canned stuff, I think it's a good thing. I'm not totally against like canned foods. I'm not totally against them. But if you can get it without a can, I think it's better. But I finding the ratio, let me see if I can find anything on this. So they always just say high in soluble and insoluble fiber. One half cup of canned hearts of palm provides 20 calories. This would be more like a fiber supplement because it's not providing energy. We'll put it that way. I mean, a half cup of this is going to fill you up quite a bit. It's just a lot of bulk. This is even less zinc, I think. Well, less than 100. It'd be about a quart. Yeah, that's about right. That's about right. These are about the same numbers, it looks like. Oh, sorry, the link. Let me get this. Okay, so they're saying, yeah, raw hearts of palm naturally contain very little sodium. So it's what they can it with, and then you can rinse it to reduce the sodium. Anyway, I'm not going to eat it. It just doesn't, I don't think it's bringing anything that I need. Like, I'd rather eat foods that have calories. So, okay, then there was Johnny. Okay. What do you think? So here, thank you for the super chat, Johnny. Okay, so no more super chats. We're past noon. What do I think about high prolactin? Could it be liver damage / toxicity? Thanks. Well, so I was going over something about, let's see, about I was talking especially to men and the women who love them about erectile dysfunction and its connection to your mental state, your fight or flight, your mental, emotional, whatever issues, more so than it is a drug deficiency. It's not a Viagra deficiency. It's not a arginine powder deficiency. It's not any deficiency of a supplement most times. It's not oh my gosh, they're injecting stem cells into dudes' junk now. They seriously are. They're like, oh, I saw the video on Instagram. They're like, we're fixing the root cause of your erectile dysfunction. And I'm like, is a stem cell deficiency? Is that what you're saying it is? Because that's what you're putting in. But anyway, so somebody, a man came to me and said, what's the connection between, I have high prolactin. This is what the man said. I have high prolactin. And he had tried a bunch of things. This person and I had been working on a bunch of things. Where is it? Here it is. Let me share this. So now, I want to help this person a lot. And this person had been doing all the nutritional things I had been working, been avoiding certain foods for the toxicity stuff, working on certain supplements. He'd been, fairly regularly testing with me. I think we were at about, we were only testing about once a year, but he's been with me a long time. And he said, do you know what to do about his labs came back and he said, I got high prolactin. And do you know what we can do? And he's like, should we do this amino acid? Should we do more zinc? Should we do da? And I said, I think with all the things you've worked on with the toxicity, he's also an Accutane survivor. Accutane ruins sexual function. So if you didn't know about vitamin A toxicity, there's a reason Bill Gates loves vitamin A. Vitamin A ruins your fertility. That's why he loves it. So if we work on the toxicity and we work on the deficiencies and we're not getting anywhere with it, then, and we're specifically, he was most interested in erectile function and libido. Well, look at this paper. So I went and I found this paper for him. Effect of increased prolactin and psychosocial stress on erectile function. I just want you to see the correlation here. Sexual dysfunctions in men are complex disorders that consist of organic and psychogenic, as in coming from, made in your brain or your nervous system. Genesis being made in your brain. There could be organic. That's like we're talking about toxicities, deficiencies, that kind of stuff. Okay. For those of you who don't know, male sexual function is actually quite the symphony of all sorts of things working together. So if your brain is not working the way it needs to, it becomes extremely difficult. And then you have all these guys trying to shove all these pills and powders and all this stuff down their throats, but they will not work on this. This will overpower all your meds. And what you're going to see is right here, okay? So the results show significant Spearman correlations of psychometric, measuring their their brain stuff, evaluation of erectile dysfunction with prolactin, and results of the trauma checklist score, as well as significant Spearman correlations between TSC40 and prolactin. I think this is an erectile function score. The final line. This result indicates a significant relationship between erectile dysfunction, hyperprolactinemia, and stress symptoms in men. Guys, you got high prolactin and you've been working on it, but you haven't worked on this. Maybe it's time. Stop trying to take pills and powders and magical whatever to fix this issue, because your sexual function, guys, is 90% here. Now, if you say, what am I going to do to help myself out with this, Dr. Smith? I will give you a link. So here's the link to this paper. I've talked about this before. I make no money from these people. I just want to help guys. I really want to help you guys. And if you don't have, it really, if you will not work on this, this will overpower any meds you take, any surgeries you have, because there's weird stuff they do down there. This will overpower all of it eventually. You may, like some of you may have tried things. You've tried this supplement. You've tried this med. You've tried this, pump or whatever. And you're doing all these things, and maybe they work at the start and then they stop working. That's because this will overpower it eventually. So anyway, Mojo is something that I think would really help. And it's $69 for 3 months. So you got hardly anything to lose and everything to gain. And when you read the testimonials, they'll have guys saying like, all my problems were fixed in a month. Okay? Because that's how powerful your brain is in terms of disease. Disease. It's not disease. It's just you got too much going on up here. So, okay. Then that's what I got. That's where I would start. Like prolactin, I mean, we could probably go into, let's just go look. Let's do serum bile prolactin PubMed. Joe, you showing this? I don't know. Prolactin hormone is exclusively synthesized and secreted from the lactotropes of the anterior pituitary gland. The secretion rate of prolactin is, this much. Half-life, 25 to 50 minutes. Prolactin is metabolized, broken down by the liver and the kidney. The basal level of prolactin in women is 13 nanograms per mil, and in men it averages 5. When you get too much prolactin, we call it hyperprolactinemia. Well, so let's just say when we talk about, the liver detoxing things. And if it can't keep up, as you get more toxic, you get slower at detox. One of the things your liver has to process is prolactin. So if your liver doesn't process prolactin fast enough, you build it up in the blood. Makes sense to me. If we were to go, let me go look up something. Let me go look up cholestasis, prolactin, PubMed. Well, we're going to wrap it up here pretty quick. Okay. Here we go. Possible recovery of manifestation of prolactin receptor and some of its target proteins in the liver and kidney cells of female rats after relief of cholestasis. So they got less cholestasis, less toxic bile leak, complicated and not complicated by hyperprolactinemia. So what I'm getting at here, I mean, whatever this study says, obviously prolactin and cholestasis are connected, like with everything else in toxic bile theory. So there's something in here. Prolactin receptors. Wait, what is CFTR? Let me find that before. Okay. Cystic fibrosis transmembrane regulator. So this is something to do with toxicity. That's anytime I see that. Prolactin receptors in the cystic fibrosis transmembrane receptor in cholangiocytes, these are bile duct cells, are the most susceptible to the decrease in bile duct pressure. Changes in the expression of the studied proteins after cholestasis relief, so less cholestasis, are apparently associated with attenuated or less toxicity of the products removed by the kidneys, which abolishes the effects of prolactin. So if you're getting too much prolactin effects, if you got less toxic bile, you'd have less prolactin impact. So that's prolactin is, I mean, let me just do this. Let's do zinc prolactin. Let's just go look up a deficiency just because I have a problem. I can't stop looking up research. So zinc, an inhibitor of prolactin secretion in humans. So if you didn't want too much prolactin, you'd want to make sure you get your zinc. I mean, does the title make sense? You don't want a zinc deficiency, or you could get hyperprolactinemia. Zinc inhibits prolactin secretion. I'm not even going to go into this paper. Let's just go and look at copper prolactin. Oh, wait, you copper lovers. I have bad news again for you copper lovers. You just keep taking the L's. Serum prolactin concentrations related to copper or inert intrauterine devices in women. Oh, wait, this one, it didn't come up with it. But wait, there was something in here. What did I see here? Oh, here. A report that serum... Here, let me find that. Oh, do I got to share it, Joe? I'm not sharing it. Wait a second. Here we go. No, this is... Okay, so this is in the whole paper. So this paper, just so you know, it said, we conclude that copper and inert IUDs do not affect prolactin secretion. They're talking about copper IUDs, putting copper in the cervix. But why did I go to this paper? So sometimes the search engines will show what the actual paper says. A report that serum prolactin concentrations were almost doubled by the use of copper IUDs led us to study the effect of both copper and inert IUDs. A previous study showed that prolactin was almost doubled by copper IUDs. But then, wait. We can't have this. We can't have women not using copper IUDs to make themselves infertile. So we need to do a corrupted study to show that everything's fine. Even though we know that zinc decreases prolactin, and then we just make the assumption that then copper probably increases it, and we find it. And then we find a paper where they're correcting the other paper. No. This doesn't happen. Did I not do the link, Joe? This is the search link. I can share the search link. Sorry, I didn't share this. Here, this is what I saw. So this is the whole paper. This is a quote from the paper. A report that serum prolactin concentrations were almost doubled by the use of copper IUDs led us to study the effect of both copper and inert IUDs. So they were like, well, wait, that's not acceptable. We must fix that. And here it is. It's actually the first line in the paper. Here it is. Share this tab. Here's this. So obviously it was already found. And then they have to correct that because we can't have women being fertile. That's I'm being sarcastic here. They don't want you fertile, ladies. Effects on lactation and breast milk. Let's look at this, folks. Because prolactin is prolactation, right? A study compared prolactin serum concentrations in 40 women using a copper-containing IUD to those of 20 women who were using condoms or practicing abstinence. So let's just say there's also the stress factor, right? So the ones who are using condoms or practicing abstinence probably have a little bit less stress because, well, the abstinence don't have anything to worry about. Serum prolactin levels were higher in lactating women. Oh God, using a copper IUD. They're poisoning the baby with the copper in their milk too. Serum prolactin levels were higher in lactating women using a copper IUD than in lactating controls, and in non-lactating women using a copper IUD than in lactating controls. The authors also noted that they had seen 12 women with galactorrhea who were using a copper IUD, although they did not establish a cause and effect relationship. Let's just define galactorrhea for everyone here, just so you all can see what this is. Excessive flow of milk from the breast during lactation, which would go along with excessive prolactin, would it not? Sorry, here's this. Excessive flow from the breast during lactation. There's that definition, easy peasy. And then we'll go back and we'll get you the original link. I think we already did this one, but I'll do it again. A 30-year-old woman, here we go. A 30-year-old woman had been using a copper IUD for 19 months when she noticed spontaneous excessive lactation, galactorrhea, mostly from the left breast. The galactorrhea was probably caused by the IUD. But then they'll say here her basal serum prolactin levels were normal. But then they took out the IUD 3 months later, and the milk production stopped 7 months after renewal. This is how they deny that they're causing the problem. No, it couldn't possibly be copper. They're poisoning you with copper every day, folks. Copper is a toxic metal. You're not going to, if you're eating plant, fruits and vegetables at all, you're not going to have any copper deficiency ever. What you have is a zinc deficiency. And as you saw, with the new thing, prolactin, maybe I'll have to do a whole episode on prolactin because we already connected it to cholestasis. We just connected it to zinc deficiency. We just connected it to copper excess. It's not hard to do. It's everywhere. So anyway, I don't think any more. No super chats came up. Joe, I didn't think I missed anything. So hopefully you all enjoyed that today. Show that vitamin A deficiency is a farce a couple other ways. And prolactin issues can definitely, be up here. They can also be zinc deficiency, copper toxicity, cholestasis, toxic bile theory, all that stuff. And if I miss any questions, just make sure that you get it to, somebody at the office, or somehow find me on social media and send it to me if I missed it. But otherwise, if you need any more information from me, the links are down there. I just did that podcast with Elwin yesterday, so that'll probably come out in a couple weeks. I'm working on being on more podcasts. If any of you know people who might want to have me on, send my information their way, and we'll try to get this out there more. So y'all have a great week. I will. Joe put up. Yeah, Joe, you can show that link. Joe made a link. It's in the chat of his link where he made. He's got all the links and the screenshots from today's show. So Joe's really helping us out with all that stuff, so you guys can find it easier. Okay, so that's what I got for today. You can find that link in the live chat, and I will see you all next week. Bye now.